Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Tyreek Hill, the Miami Dolphins star wide receiver, has recently sparked some serious conversation with his list of top quarterbacks in the NFL. When asked by fans on social media about his 5 best QBs, Hill's response raised eyebrows, as it was noticeably different from the list he gave just a year ago. In his most recent picks, Hill included Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and Joe Burrow. A glaring omission from this list was his former teammate, Tua Tagovailoa. The receiver, who was once the loudest advocate for Tua, now seems to have a very different opinion, leading many to wonder if there's trouble brewing between Hill and the Dolphins quarterback. Not long ago, Hill couldn't stop praising Tagovailoa. When he was traded to the Dolphins 3 years ago, Hill was ecstatic, frequently speaking highly of Tua's skills and potential. This enthusiasm continued into the off-season of 2024, when Hill even named Tagovailoa as one of his top 5 quarterbacks in the league. At that time, Dolphins fans felt confident that Hill and Tua would form one of the most dynamic duos in the NFL. But in less than a year, Hill's perspective appears to have shifted dramatically, with Tagovailoa now being left off his elite list. In the previous list Hill compiled, Tua was in the top 5, but it also included other notable names like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Dak Prescott. Hill had even included Baker Mayfield in that top 5 ranking, which surprised many at the time. Fast forward to 2025, and Hill's new choices for the top 5 have left Tagovailoa behind. It's a shift that signals some potential dissatisfaction, and fans are beginning to wonder whether this change reflects deeper frustrations within the Dolphins' locker room. The omission of Tua from Hill's latest list is more than just a simple change in opinion. When an athlete publicly praises another player and then quietly removes them from a personal list of elite talent, it's impossible not to read between the lines. Hill's comments about his frustration after the 2024 season only add fuel to the fire. He made it clear that he was unhappy with the team's direction, and while he later apologized and indicated he was committed to Miami, this recent list suggests there are still unresolved issues between Hill and the Dolphins, particularly with the quarterback. There's no doubt that Hill's relationship with Tua has been one of the most talked about dynamics within the team. At one point, Hill's excitement over playing alongside Tagovailoa seemed to be a defining factor in his decision to join Miami. However, Hill's most recent cryptic social media posts and comments about wanting out of Miami have only deepened the mystery surrounding his future with the team. Despite his public apology, it's clear that Hill's confidence in the Dolphins' leadership, particularly at the quarterback position, may be waning. For the Dolphins, Hill's shift in quarterback rankings is likely to raise some serious concerns. While fans can brush off these types of lists as nothing more than opinions shared in the heat of the moment, the fact that Hill has included Mayfield and left out Tua suggests a growing distance between the two. Mayfield, once seen as a backup plan, now has the trust of Hill over a quarterback with whom he once had an apparent strong connection. The decision to include Mayfield while excluding Tua speaks volumes about Hill's current thoughts on the Dolphins' offense. It's also worth noting that Hill's previous list was much more favorable to Tua. Tagovailoa, despite facing his own struggles and criticism, had Hill's backing. With Tua's status in Miami continually under scrutiny, this change in Hill's opinion may serve as a signal that even key players are losing faith in the direction of the team. After all, a receiver like Hill, with his explosive talent, is expected to want the best quarterback possible to maximize his potential. The fact that Hill no longer sees Tua as one of the top 5 quarterbacks might mean that he feels the offense isn't performing at the level it needs to be. The speculation surrounding Hill's future with the Dolphins continues to grow. His frustration with the team's quarterback situation is no longer a well-kept secret, and his recent cryptic behavior on social media has only fueled rumors that he could be on his way out. While the Dolphins have not shown any signs of trading Hill, the 31-year-old wide receiver has been very vocal about his desires, leaving fans unsure about where he will end up in the coming seasons. His public backing of Tagovailoa has slowly turned into doubt, and that alone has made it even harder to predict Hill's future in Miami. What Hill's list ultimately shows is a fractured relationship between the star receiver and the quarterback who was once seen as his most valuable ally. Hill's confidence in his QB, seems to be at an all-time low, and that could be a major issue for the Dolphins moving forward. The drama surrounding Hill's comments could be a sign of a much larger problem within the locker room, one that may need to be addressed sooner rather than later if the Dolphins want to get their offense back on track. As for Tua, this latest development only adds to the pressure he's under. Having Hill once as a major supporter and now seeing him question Tua's status among the NFL elite is a harsh reality check. The Dolphins quarterback will need to step up his game in the coming months if he hopes to regain the full backing of his teammates, especially Hill. The relationship between the two stars has been one of the most anticipated storylines for Miami this season, and whether they can get on the same page again will likely determine the success or failure of the Dolphins' 2025 campaign. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL world, Aaron Donald, one of the most dominant defensive players of his generation, has officially been traded from the Los Angeles Rams to the Miami Dolphins. This monumental trade, which has been brewing for some time, not only marks a new chapter in Donald's illustrious career, but also shifts the balance of power in the AFC. The Dolphins, who have been building a championship-caliber team in recent years, have now added one of the fiercest and most respected defensive forces in the league. With this move, they aim to strengthen their defense and make a serious run for the Super Bowl in the upcoming season. Aaron Donald, the 2017 NFL Defensive Player of the Year, has been the cornerstone of the Rams' defense since being drafted in the first round of the 2014 NFL Draft. Over his career, he's earned multiple All-Pro selections, Pro Bowl appearances, and is widely regarded as one of the best defensive linemen in NFL history. His ability to disrupt opposing offenses with his relentless pass rush and run-stopping ability has made him a nightmare for quarterbacks and offensive coordinators alike. The fact that the Dolphins were able to pull off this trade speaks volumes about the direction they're heading and the kind of team they are building. For the Rams, this marks the end of an era. Donald has been the face of their defense for nearly a decade, and his departure will undoubtedly leave a void in their defensive line. However, the Rams are also in a rebuilding phase, and this trade could signal a shift towards focusing on younger talent and rebuilding their roster for the future. While it's hard to imagine the Rams' defense without Donald's disruptive presence, the team will have to adjust and find ways to maintain their competitive edge in a tough NFC West division. The Dolphins, on the other hand, have been aggressively pursuing top-tier talent to complement their explosive offense. With Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle at wide receiver, and an offensive line that has been improving year by year, Miami's offense is already a force to be reckoned with. Adding Aaron Donald to a defense that already includes stars like Xavier Howard and Jerome Baker makes the Dolphins an even more formidable opponent for any team. This trade elevates their defensive front and gives them a legitimate shot at competing with the best teams in the AFC. One of the most exciting aspects of this trade is the opportunity for Donald to play alongside some of the most promising young talent in the league. Miami's defense has been on the rise, and with the addition of Donald, they now have one of the most feared defensive lines in the league. Donald's ability to command double teams and collapse the pocket will give the Dolphins' secondary more opportunities to make plays. This could be the missing piece for a Miami team that has been building momentum and looking for that extra boost to get over the hump. The Dolphins' decision to trade for Donald is not just about adding a star player. It's about creating a culture of winning. Head coach Mike McDaniel and general manager Chris Grier have made it clear that they are all in on competing for a championship, and this trade is a clear message to the rest of the NFL. With Donald's leadership and veteran presence, the Dolphins now have a player who knows what it takes to win at the highest level. His experience in big games, including his key role in the Rams' Super Bowl victory, will be invaluable for a Miami team that is looking to take the next step. It's also worth noting that Donald's presence in Miami brings a certain level of swagger and confidence to the Dolphins' defense. He's not just a player who dominates on the field. He's a game-changer who elevates the performance of those around him. His intensity and drive to win are contagious, and his impact on the locker room could be just as important as his on-field performance. With a player like Donald leading the charge, the Dolphins will have a mentality of toughness and resilience that will serve them well throughout the season. The financial aspect of the trade is also significant. Donald's contract is one of the most lucrative in the NFL for a defensive player, and while this could be a challenge for the Dolphins in terms of salary cap management, it also shows their commitment to winning now. The Rams, meanwhile, get significant cap relief from moving Donald's contract, which will help them as they continue to rebuild their roster. The trade is a win-win in many respects, as both teams get what they need for the next phase of their respective journeys. Looking ahead, the Dolphins' defense now has the potential to be one of the most terrifying units in the league. With Donald leading the charge, they can now match up with the top offenses in the NFL and give their own offense the support it needs to compete for a Super Bowl. The AFC is stacked with powerhouse teams, but with this addition, the Dolphins are firmly in the conversation as a legitimate contender. Donald's impact on the field will be felt immediately, and it will be exciting to see how this trade shapes the landscape of the NFL in the coming years. In conclusion, the trade of Aaron Donald to the Miami Dolphins is one of the most significant moves of the offseason. It represents a new era for both teams involved, with the Rams beginning their rebuilding process and the Dolphins positioning themselves as Super Bowl contenders. With Donald's addition, Miami's defense has become one of the most formidable in the league, and their championship aspirations are higher than ever. For NFL fans, this is a trade that will be remembered for years to come, as it has the potential to change the course of the league. Get ready for an exciting season, because with Aaron Donald on the Miami Dolphins, anything is possible. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.